Alright, in this video I'm going to teach you a minor variation of the monkey spitting the balls. I decided that the shape keys tutorial could wait, you know, of how I got the monkey to spit those things, spit the little balls. It's not hard, it's very easy, but it's a lot of little steps, and it would have made this tutorial very long. But anyway, this is what your finished scene will look like. Let me move this out of the way. Right here. It's a pretty simple scene. This is your lights right here. And it's sort of a cheat because it is very hard to get glass to show up. You can use an environment texture, but then it reflects the environment and it's awkward looking. So it should look, your pillar, your water pillar, looks something like, you know, like that. So anyway, let's get to it. Let's open up a new file. There we go. That's my default. Delete the light, we aren't going to need it. We just need our camera. Okay, first off we will build a plane. Scale that guy up, something like that. Let's move our camera up, back to on Y. Let me turn the shape keys on. I mean the screencast keys. Right. Now we will make a cube. This is pretty simple. Scale this down a bit and scale along Z3. Enter. Grab along Z. Now I find that if you set this directly on top of the plane using the snap tool, that you get these weird artifacting things in the bottom of the glass. So what I do is put it just a little bit below the plane, which is on this red line. Just a little bit. Like that. Okay. Now, to set up our plane, we'll go into edit mode, select these back two vertices, and extrude along Z. Doesn't matter how far, just higher than the camera can see. See? Perfect. We should probably select it all and scale along X. There. Alright, we got that. Now put an edge loop in here, right about there, because we're going to subdivide this and we don't want it to push up into the plane, the cube. And I also will subdivide like that and like that, or else you get a kind of funny a funny circular shape. Okay, and then we will go into subsurf, our modifiers, and add a subsurf, and just keep adding. I think we're going to need about, let's see what that looks like. Go into object mode and hit smooth. That looks pretty good at 3. You may need to do it more or less. I mean, you may need to do it a little bit more if you start seeing banding across the plane in your render. Right now it's dark as shit because there's no lighting. Also, I left the world settings as they are by default. It's good to have a little bit of light. I'm just not going to tackle all that environment lighting and stuff right now, not in this tutorial. Alright, so now the next thing we do is add our lights, and that is very simple. Little trick here. First we'll add a circle, a Bezier circle, and scale it up to be outside of the view of our camera, somewhere right about there, something like that. We can scale it later. You know what, let's scale that in a little bit, right about here. Okay, now we're going to make our emitter plane, rotate on X 90, grab along what? Oh, well, we're not going to grab that. Sorry. We are going to go up to the modifiers and add a curve modifier. Select our Bezier circle, and that will snap it to this. Now we're going to scale this down. I want it to be small. Because basically this is going to be a light wall, you know, like a light wall. And then we are going to add an array. Now it looks like it is doing it wrong, and it is, but when you apply it, it will be on the curve. The reason it does that is because it's not actual geometry yet. Let's add some spacing in there. Something like that will work. Let's add this all the way up to, it needs to be able to stretch from the sides, you know, from one side to the other. So let's say 40. And that'll depend on what your spacing is right here. None of this is set in stone. I'm just showing you the basics of how it's done. And this works very effectively in lighting a glass object, because what makes glass stand out is the specular highlights, the reflections. And if you only have one light source, and with a lot of these like lamps, you know, the pre-made lamps right here, it doesn't reflect correctly. Like, you know, if you put a lamp in front of a mirror or a piece of glass, you're going to see some of that lamp reflected. If for some reason it doesn't do it with lamps in here, I don't know, I'm having trouble with it. That's why this tutorial took so long to get out. Okay, so anyway, we got our thing here. Now we need one more array, and on this one it is going to be 0 on the X, and let's start with 1 on the Y, and give it some spacing, something like whatever, 1.6. Doesn't really matter. And then just make a wall. Doesn't matter however many it takes. Let's give it a material at this point. We could do it in a minute, but let's do it now. Emission and 5 for strength. All right. This might keep opening that. Okay. Now, go back to your modifiers and apply them. Starting at the bottom. Apply. Now you see it's gone all the way around, all crazy like. That's fine. Just go over here to your pivot center rotation and select 3D cursor. You may not even need to do that because it is still on the curve. Rotate on Z. Oh, and look at that. That is because we have not applied our curve modifier. So apply that. Rotate on Z until it is encompassing your whole scene. Let's go into the camera view and make sure we don't see it. Actually, I think this could go up. Z up. Rotate this. What in the hell? Oh, it's because it's on 3D cursor. Put that back on median point for a second. Shift F. Scroll out so we have that. And we'll rotate this on Z just a bit so we can see the edge. Okay, that looks great. You can see our lights are not in the scene. Cool. Might actually have too many lights, but whatever. We'll see what it looks like. Now, let's do a test render real quick. See what that looks like. It's very bright, but that's okay. We can fix all that. First, let's add a glass material. Actually, we're going to need to subdivide this because it'll look different once it's subdivided. Right now, it would not look all that great. Go ahead and just add a glass. And glass is not the best thing to use if you're trying to affect glass. A transmission and not transmission. Anyway, we'll go into that another time. But this is just a quick tutorial teaching you how to do the ball thing. So we made that glass. Now push F12, and you see what I'm talking about. You can see the reflections of these planes, which gives you the illusion that that is glass, you know. So, but to make this a little better, first we will grab this and move it. I like it right there. Let's see, 0, grab along Z, no. Grab the camera along Z. Okay. All right, now to make this a little more interesting lighting, we are going to, right here on the color setting, we're going to add a color ramp. And the factor, right here we got black. Let's see, let's add one. Put it right there, add another one. Put it right there. Add another one, put it right there. You see what we're doing here. That's good enough. All right. Let's make this one white. I know I could have just copied them, but I forget how to do that actually. White. This one is black. And white and black. So let's just make another one. Ah, screw it. Okay. Make this one black. So it was an either or thing. Let's put it on ease. And then change. Let's see real quick. Control 1, zoom out, we'll hide this plane. Let's see what that looks like. All right, it's all white. I'm gonna pull that down, click on this, so we can see our nodes. Now we're gonna add a texture, which is going to be this gradient texture. Put the factor, boom. Now you start to see some blacks in there. Now we can add a input texture coordinates. Oh, not that. Vector mapping. Connect that. Right. And then you can just play around with these. I'm no pro at this. I usually just do these until I see what I want. Alright, that ain't working. Alright, that fucking bullshit's working, is it? Alright, fuck that then. Alright, let's go in here. Push C twice. Hold on, I believe I have made these rigid bodies accidentally. Nope. Alright. And we'll just do a UV unwrap. And we'll add a texture coordinates UV tab. And let's see what that looks like. Well, that's fucking interesting, isn't it? Fuck, that's pretty cool actually. I'm liking that. The goal is to add variation to the lighting, so that was a surprising turn of events, but it did what we wanted it to. It added some variation. So what that looks like. We could bump up the, you know what, let's put that on easing. All right, that's pretty interesting. Let's turn this up to 7. All right, so we're done with the lighting. That's good enough. Let's get to the cube. Unhide everything. Oh, that's why I look crazy, because I didn't have that plane in there. Or did I? Anyway, all right. Now, we are going to take this into edit mode and subdivide it. Let's hide these real quick. pressing H. Alright, W, subdivide, W, oh, Control Z. I like my subdivisions to be square, so I just hit R to do a, Control R to do loop cuts, and then I did 2. So select them all, W, subdivide, 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 one more, subdivide. Alright, that's great. Now go into the modifiers and add a subsurf of 2. Make sure your view and your render are the same, because when we bake this dynamic paint, if they're not the same, they won't render. Don't ask me why, I have no freaking idea. But now we go in here. Now when we render, it will look like real glass. Look at that, that's pretty. Another thing that will help is to put a texture on this, a material on this plane, which we'll do now. And I almost never use just a plain diffuse because it's just unrealistic. Mix shader, diffuse, and glossy. Alright, then I turn this way down to 0.1, maybe even less, depends. And make sure the glossy is all the way white. It's not really necessary, but whatever. Alright. And that will reflect more light. Yeah. Pretty cool. I think I'll put the diffuse color a little darker. Yeah, I like that. Okay. So we got our stuff. Now it might also help to add a light above this to light it, and I think we will actually do that. Add a mesh plane, grab along Z, scale that a bit, and make it an emission. Alright, with a 5. Go into the camera view and go into rendered. Not sure why I did that. Oh, did I hide all those? Yeah. And that'll give us some highlights on the top. You know, right there. Alright, cool. It's good enough. I kind of like the way that looks actually, but alright. There, back in that mode. Okay, now we can delete this circle. Delete that. Alright, go back to this guy and click on the little blue check and click Dynamic Paint. This will be a canvas. Click Anti-Aliasing. I put like 2 steps in there to make sure it's smooth. Oh, also we need to smooth this, so let's go over to press T and click smooth, or else whenever it's animating it'll be all jaggedy looking and look like shit. So let's close that. Alright, change this right here, the surface type, to waves. The damping, I'll just put that at 0.01 because I want the waves to just keep going. And that is okay. Now the dynamic paint cache, you'll see, is grayed out. You can't bake your dynamics until you have saved this file. So let's just do that now. We should have saved many times before now. Blender has a habit, all programs like this have a habit of crashing, so we will save this as tutorial glass cube tutorial, and there we go. Now you'll see that this is all not gray anymore, and that's great. So we're done with this. We've done all this. It's great. Now we just need to add the brush to affect the waves, and to do that we are going to add a plane, Z, rotate on Y by 90. Enter, grab on X. Now go into side view and scale this until it is roughly about the same size as the cube. And then scale along Z like that. All right, perfect. Now we're going to add well, first off we need to make our particle, which is going to be a icosphere. That'll work. Okay, and scale that to the size that we want our balls to be. That'll work pretty good right there. Now smooth it. Smooth shading. Clicked. T. I'm pressing T to open that menu up and down. Okay. Oh, oops. Sorry, guys. Let me put this back up. God, I'm terrible at these. Okay. Now move this out of the way because we don't need that in the shot. So we put that way over there. Set up a texture for it first, though. Let's see here. Let's go to rendered. It's got a new texture. And we're going to do an emission texture on this, but a diffuse emission. Let's go down here to diffuse. Oh, sorry. Mix shader, diffuse, and emission. Alright, change the emission color to whatever color you like. I'll do red. I haven't done red. Alright. And that guy does not look very smooth, does he? Let's go in there and do a subsurf on him. There, now he looks good. Apply. Okay, back to materials. Now for the factor, we'll just do facing. You know, it's good, pretty good one. I like that. And you can make the diffuse color a blue or whatever color you want, or no color at all. Okay, we're done with that. Now Shift C to center our view again. Look at how pretty that looks. All right, back into wireframe mode so we can actually work. Now click your plane, your emitter plane. And by the way, you should probably be naming all these right here, you know. Emit. God damn, I don't have spell checker, so I don't know what the hell how to spell emitter. Emitter, oh, that's fucking wrong, I know it. Whatever. Emitter plane. You know, something like that. It's done with the little cube. Okay, now let's go into our particle settings. Looks like little stars. All right, turn this down to 5 or 10, 20, whatever, however long you feel like rendering this, because it will take quite a while to render because there are so many subdivisions in this, and also it's a lot of it's pretty intense to render, but not too bad. If you want to do a YouTube video, you could do it at 720 by 480, which is 480p. Most people only watch in 480p anyway. And you could probably render this out in a couple hours. Not a big deal. Or you can render it out full HD while you're sleeping, you know. It's not a huge deal. Change the lifetime to however long your animation is going to be. Let's just put 250. Okay, we want it to emit from face. Yeah, we'll leave all that the same. And the rotation doesn't matter because it's always going to look the same, the ball. Okay, the size under physics, we want that to be at 1, so it doesn't look like little grains of sand flying at it. And uncheck emitter, because we don't want to see the emitter. And check object here, and choose your icosphere. And now we should be seeing, oh, that looks like crap. What the hell's happening here? Oh, our normal, let's do that on 10. And I believe that I may have overdone it with the subdivisions on this. So, let me see how many, you have 58,000 faces. Oh, no, that's not too bad. 200, that's not bad. It's going so slow. Oh, look at that. See, it's going the wrong way. So we'll just rotate that on Y, 180. All right, there we go. And now this is going slow probably because of the screen capture software. Now we want it to kind of vary where it's shooting. So let's do random here. And under normal, I'm going to bump that up actually to 12, but add some randomization there so that the balls land in different places. All right, now let me get my timeline up here. All right. Let me go into front view. See what's going on here. That's not so bad, but you know what? We're going to move this down a little bit and rotate it on Y, like that, and we'll have a little arc to it. Okay, so that's done. Now, we take this particle, the particle plane, and we go in here and make that the brush. Dynamic paint, brush, add brush. Now right here, particle system. And you have to make sure that you select your particle system there again. So, I believe that's done. All right, now all that's left is to bake it. Look at that. Real time. Pretty fucking cool, huh? All right, now, but also one more thing. We are going to make these balls land on something. So we'll take this plane and add a collision. All right, and then when you shoot your stuff, it will collide. Now, I like it to stop and not just keep bouncing. So I turn these up, and you'll notice something, that when they do stop, they stop like halfway through the plane. And I could not for the life of me figure out how to fix this, but I found a workaround. So skip to a point where they're stopped. Let's make sure it's completely stopped. Okay, it's stopped. That one stopped. So we duplicate this plane. First we go into front view, pressing 1, Shift D the plane along Z. Hold the shift, and our goal is to get right to the top of that ball, because they're all going to stop. We're directly in the center, and I don't know how to fix that really. Right there, that's good enough. And then click on your first plane and delete the collision. And on the second plane, which has a material just like the first one, we are going to click this 2 to get rid of, so it's not linked to the first one, and then minus that and add a new one, transparent, and make sure that's all the way at white so that it'll be completely transparent. So now if we render, we don't see that second plane at all. But we see our balls and everything's working, see? Now if they're bouncing out of the view here. Let's go back to 0. Camera view. See, they're keeping on bouncing, so let's add a little more drag to this. Right, go back. So they kind of stop. Now I know it looks like but that's how it actually looks right there. Okay, So now we've got all this, but you cannot render until you have baked. So select your cube, which for some fucking odd reason keeps anti-aliasing. And go down here and click Free All Bakes so that it doesn't pick up any previous bakes you've done. And then Bake All Dynamics. But make sure, right here where it says frames, that this covers your entire animation. If you have 250 frames and you only have this up to or you have 300 frames and this is only 250, your last 50 frames are going to be frozen. So don't do that. And so we're all good. So let's Bake All Dynamics. And I will pause this now so you don't have to watch that boring crap. Okay, it's done baking. Now let's look at the final result. Now you can add more or less balls. It doesn't really matter. I don't think it would have any real effect on render time. But there we go. It's all done now. If I render this out, it would take me it would take a while, you know, but let's just Alt A, press F12 there to render this. See what we got going on. And I'm not going to render out this animation and put it in the beginning of the video or anything like that. I'll put the monkey video up there so you can see pretty much what you're going to get. But there you go. Now it looks like crap because I have right here, it's set to half of that, which is like, I don't know what that is, like 480p or something. And also my render samples are 50. I recommend doing, God, no less than 200, and you probably should do 1,000 each. You know, let's do 200 and see what it looks like. And let me pause it real quick and we'll show you the finished result. Okay, so there you have it. As you can see, one frame took 2 minutes. I mean, this can take quite a while to render, but you know, if you've got patience, you know, you can do it. You'll notice, see how the balls have stopped on the plane. That's great. Now, one more thing that will really make this look much better is motion blur at 0.5. That will add a little blur as these are moving, and it brings out the animation, makes it look great. Now, I do think my lighting in this scene is not bright enough. I should have bumped that up quite a bit more, but instead of making y'all sit, this video is already like 35 minutes long, so I think you guys can handle it. I've taught you all the magics, but I do believe that my lighting is not great. It's not bright enough. It may have even been a better idea to add a plane emitter, you know, pointing right here so that it bounces onto this to light up the back, you know, or a area light behind it. But I think it looked pretty good. I thank you guys for watching. I think the next video will be on shape keys and how I did the monkey making his mouth move with the balls. That should be a much quicker tutorial. But there you have it, how to animate a cube glass thingy. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more videos. Okay, see you later.